Now, hello everyone. I'm Jeff Stone, Seniors Real Estate Specialist with Douglas Elliman in Port Washington and Manhasset on Long Island, New York. Today's podcast, Downsizing and Relocation for Boomers and Seniors, we will discuss downsizing and relocating to South Florida. With us, we have a panel of real estate agents, a senior move manager, a mortgage professional, and a home insurance agent, and two homeowners that made the transition to South Florida, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. All right. So we're going to have a lot of fun here today, a lot of good information. And these folks are specialists. They're experts in what they do. So I'm your host again, Jeff Stone, Douglas Elliman, and I'd like to welcome to our today's show, Howard Horowitz, realtor, Douglas Elliman.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
He practices in Fort Lauderdale, the Los Olas office, which I visited recently, and New York City. All right, so that's having two locations like I do, but you know, mine are in Nassau and his are in Florida and Manhattan, two great places. Next, we have Barbara Feldman, who's a senior move manager up here in Nassau County. She has her own business, Barbara at newstartnewyork.com. I will put up the flyer towards the end so everybody gets to see the contact information here. We have Jay Brinegar, realtor for EXP. Lakewood Ranch is his specialty and the surrounding areas. He's also a seniors real estate specialist, Southwest Florida. And welcome to the show. We have Tony Lamas, Director of Sales, America's Mortgage Lender, and followed by Mark Kowalski, who's an agent, homeowners insurance specialist with Permont and Martin Insurance. Finally, we have Jill Levine, who is a resident of Boynton Beach, and she relocated from Long Island. Mike Ricketts is a resident and snowbird of Cape Coral, Florida, and Suffolk County, Long Island. All right. What I'd like to do first, as a seniors real estate specialist, I want to sit down with a prospective client, a homeowner who would like to list their property for sale and is thinking to moving down to South Florida. I'll first bring in my senior move manager, should the need arise. The senior move manager does many things, and Barbara Feldman can tell you a little bit more about what she provides and how good it is to bring her in to make it less stressful for the homeowner. All right, so Barbara, we're going to start off with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. It's fun to be here.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Barbara Feldman. I actually own two companies. In New Start, New York, we're senior move managers, and I am technically a certified relocation and transition specialist. And then my second company is All Gone Clean Out. So we do the full clean out at the end. But for all of you, when you have someone come to you and they want to list a house and you walk in and they've got 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years worth of stuff and they have generations of stuff and they don't know where to begin, we help them pick out what's most important to them, what they're going to keep. And we do floor plans for them. We may come and measure their furniture. I'll do digital floor plans. We could mail it to them or email it to them. And the family, because usually there's a lot of people involved. And then once they determine what they really want and keep, then I bring in people to buy from them. So once we've determined what they're taking, what their family's taking, what they're going to sell, then we have to do donations. And then I bring in my staff, we pack for them. We bring in supplies, we pack. I get them a mover between New York and Florida. I'm doing 3 Florida moves as we speak this month, Florida and New York. And East Coast and West Coast. I have Naples and also Boca I'm doing. And so once they've moved on the other end, I'm part of the National Association of Senior Move Managers, as well as the National Association of Professional Organizers. So I would pack them on this end, give them an inventory, and I work with the person on the other end to unpack them. We make it seamless. It's so much easier on the family. It's so much easier on you because people, they're overwhelmed, and we are your key to an easier move. That's our tagline, and we really pride ourselves on making it easier for everybody. Like I said, I'm in business 15 years. I'm probably the oldest, not in age, maybe in age too, in the area. There's very few of us that are A+ accredited, meaning that my people are employees, so they're covered on disability, and your clients are covered on insurance. I don't pick up like day laborers. They're all part of my payroll. So that's something that your people, because, we're in their underwear, so people get nervous. And our job is to protect them and to protect you and make you look good.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I know you do quite a bit, and I do rely on folks such as yourself to help lower the stress, the anxiety level with homeowners, because they have accrued so much stuff. They don't know where to begin. And you do a great service. And again, being a seniors real estate specialist, working with experts such as yourselves is it's definitely a must, and it's fantastic. Barbara and I have gone back over the years. We've had booths at various fairs involving seniors and boomers, and we keep tripping over one another here and there. So it's great. In this field, you all kind of run into one another every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, when you're getting the house ready for sale, what I would do, all right, is to the homeowner, I go, Mrs. Homeowner, Mr. Homeowner, I want you to talk with a gentleman who's down in the southeast coast of Florida. He's a realtor. And because you expressed interest in moving down to the Boca area, Boynton Beach area, Hollywood, places like that, Delray. And this gentleman I met while I was down in Florida. I traveled half the East Coast and West Coast. I met people. Howard was one of them in the Douglas Elliman office, Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas. And so, Howard, welcome to the show. And
thank you, Jeff.
I'll let you take it from there. So when I get my client wanting to move to South Florida, East Coast, I will give you a call, tell you a little something about what the owner's looking for, amenities, costs. And then I'll say, my client will call you, or she wants you to contact them. You can do that. But basically, they're looking for amenities. They're looking for what's the weather. They're looking for other things. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about how you receive people from Long Island down to your area.
That's great, Jeff. Thank you for being part of this panel as well. As you know, Florida as a state is growing in population leaps and bounds. I think there's about 500,000 people that have moved to the state over the last 2 years. And a number of those people are senior people looking for a great lifestyle down in Florida. And what I could say about Florida is there are properties that are available to any type of senior that is looking for either a condo, a single family home, and or a 55+ community lifestyle. So if I was speaking to a client, like I often do as a broker or as an agent broker up in New York, a lot of my clients from New York come down, I would just discuss with them the options and the amenities and the offerings of a number of these different property types. Some of my clients are looking and are very familiar with the lifestyle of condos and are looking for more of a spacious, open home these days. Everybody's looking for that space, and that seems to be highly in demand as a single family home. The territory that I work and specialize in, Jeff, and you mentioned that, the office is in Fort Lauderdale, but I also handle Delray Beach, Florida, Boca Raton, and South Beach. So when I'm speaking to one of my clients from, say, New York and or Long Island, first conversation really would be, what's your desirable location? Where do you have family? Where would you like to move to? Because we have the whole East Coast that has the same ocean all the way from South Beach up to Palm Beach and to Long Island. So I just try to get acquainted and know my clients very well and what they want and service their needs and desires. Once I get to know my clients, then we offer a lot of the different types of properties that they're looking for. Condos, single-family homes on the water, condos near the ocean, condos on the ocean, 55 plus lifestyle communities that offer amenities such as golf, tennis, a community swimming pool, food and beverage. Some of the communities you have to pay a membership fee to, some you don't. So there's a whole different broad-based type of properties that my clients fall in love with, on top of the weather, the tax-friendly state that Florida is, the universities, the airports, the transportation, the easy commute to their office or new office. So I take into account all their different types of lifestyle needs and wants, and Florida has something for everybody.
Right. Now, up here, sometimes people will take a look in Florida first before they decide to list their home for sale. And
Correct.
that's okay. In that case, what I recommend is that they take an extended vacation as opposed to a short-term rental, which is in high demand, is very, big shortage on that. So what we did is we took 2 weeks ourselves and we saw many communities along the East Coast and West Coast. And I can tell you where the palm trees start, where the taxes jump up a little bit, property taxes, the amenities, the vibe of certain neighborhoods, where you can go take your car on the beach and go fishing, surf casting, So a little bit of everything here. And I do know there's a real shortage of detached family homes, as in a lot of places across the nation, but condos are being built nonstop. When I was driving down 95, new community being built. And it's crazy. I go into an established community and it's still building, so that is big time. They're investing in these counties. They're investing in relocation folks coming down from Long Island. So, so that's what.
You're absolutely right. There's such a diminishing inventory.
Yeah.
For pretty much all property types down here in Florida.
Yeah.
There's a insatiable appetite for the condos, single family homes, detached homes. And that's led to a big spike in the price increases. Low inventory leads to price increases. Year over year, some of the territories that we talked about, Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, Boca, year over year prices might be up 40% on the single family homes.
Yeah.
And the developers have recognized that need that you're talking about, Jeff, and developers are building luxury condos.
Yeah.
From the new Waldorf Astoria going up in Brickell to 55 plus communities with 300-400 single family homes that offer tennis, golf, and all the pickle games. All the different amenities that clients from the Northeast are looking for. So development is still going on. The cost to develop is increased. Lumber prices have increased by about 36%. So that's led to, of course, an increase in new home construction.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, Jeff. Everywhere you go, from South Beach, Miami, up to Palm Beach. Yeah. I mean, there's such an influx of firms, investment firms that are moving into the West Palm Beach and Palm Beach area.
Well, people are finding that they're not going to work as much or at all. It's more, in their home office working from. Sometimes it's a hybrid, but people, if they could work, say, from Florida as their main residence, and maybe once in a while take a trip up to Manhattan or have a little pied-à-terre up there. Could be cost effective for them. So there's many ways of doing the same thing. It's just everything's changed and people recognize that and they're following suit. So
yeah, I agree with you. And things were changing beforehand. I believe COVID has really accelerated that growth spike that we're seeing now. And on top of that, with the low interest rates, the valuations are increasing. Yep. And Tony could speak more directly to what's happening in the mortgage market right now. But the mortgage guys and players that I work with are backed up just processing loans these days, especially historically low loans right. on the interest rate side, which has also probably led to somewhat of an inflation. So you have this whole pressure of diminishing inventory, low interest rates for the foreseeable future, people moving from the Northeast, from maybe the high tax states, and or just looking for more space for their family, working under the different types of conditions we're working under now, where their office is in their home, has led to this explosion down here in South Florida. Right. Now, one other topic that you did mention and touch on, typically before this little pandemic, a lot of my clients would take maybe a 3-4 month seasonal rental during December, January, February, March, just to tip their toes in the water and test, how great is Florida, and or do I like the lifestyle of Florida, knowing they will be going back to, say, Long Island or Manhattan after the winter season. And what's happened this year is a lot of those clients have stayed. They've extended their stay without going back to Long Island and or to New York City. So either they extended their rentals and or looked to purchase residential properties as a secondary or primary home.
Okay, now, thank you, Howard. I'd like to move on to Jay on the West Coast, Lakewood Ranch. And you were telling me that you've got it all down there. From lower end prices of units to over $1 million homes. So that's a wide range. So Jay, welcome to the show and go right ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great to live here in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, Lakewood Ranch. I used to come here back in my business days. I was a vice president of sales for a company called Toshiba. You might have heard of them. And my wife and I used to come down here to Siesta Key on vacation, and we just absolutely loved it. It's beautiful white sand. It's like powder. It was voted here recently in recent months the #1 beach in the U.S. again. So they've won that multiple times. It's an absolutely beautiful beach. Siesta Key, Longboat Key, on up to Anna Maria Island. It's all this beautiful sand and just beautiful clear water. It's very peaceful. And the sunsets are obviously awesome as we watch the sun go down over the Gulf. And there's always a big crowd there every evening to watch that happen. If you like palm trees, if you like golf, if you like Howard was talking about, all the amenities, there's a lot of new development here. Lakewood Ranch is a huge development with a lot of different communities and a lot of different price ranges. Prices have moved up like everywhere else, but there are still some homes selling in the Lakewood Ranch area for under $300,000. The price has moved up, but you have homes that are as high as $10 million in Lakewood Ranch. And there's different communities that make that up. And there's still a lot of brand new development taking place in Lakewood Ranch. I'm talking massive communities being built. So we are in a new construction explosion here, partly driven because of the low inventory. And when the inventory began to go down on existing homes, then the builders were trying to keep up with demand because everybody says, well, I'll just go build a new home. And they've been setting records here in new home construction in all different price ranges. Some of it is further out in Sarasota County or Manatee County. which covers the Bradenton, Sarasota, Venice area, and Lakewood Ranch is all in that. There's a fast growing community in Parrish, Florida, which is by Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch. We're kind of like Lakewood Ranch North. And there are massive new communities going in here with a lot of different beautiful communities being developed with a lot of amenities, just amazing amenities for walking trails, bike trails, putting in more golf courses. So it's just a wonderful place to be. We have seen a lot of people, as Howard said a while ago, somewhere around 900 people a day is our net population growth in Florida as a whole. And we are seeing, when we look at home prices, yes, home prices have increased, like year over year. Home prices here in Manatee County is up 16% and about 17.5% in Sarasota County. But what I try to do is I focus on, as Howard does, I try to focus on what is my client really looking for? Are they wanting to downsize? Some people are actually upsizing because now it's like my wife and I, we both have an office in our house. We did a new construction home last year, and we actually went bigger and with a larger lot and a bigger home because we do work from home. So a lot of people are doing the same thing. They're not downsizing where you think, okay, they're empty nesters and they're in that senior bracket of 55 plus. They're wanting a bigger home with more amenities because what I've discovered after moving from Indianapolis, Indiana to Florida is I've got a lot of really good friends in Indiana. And my family just really loves me, especially in December, January, and February. You seem to get a lot more visitors than you used to. You know, you live in snowland. So the heated pools are nice. But I do focus on what they're wanting to do because some people are looking for larger homes. And that's been interesting. And that's also driven into the new construction. New construction is unable to keep up because of lack of supplies. They're now putting a limit every month on how many lots they're going to sell as they're trying to get caught back up and get homes built. So what I do is I'm very focused on detail. I'm a detailed, analytical person by nature. So when someone is looking at a particular community, a particular area, they come down, they like Lakewood Ranch, they want to be up close to the beach, whatever it might be. We look at those areas because in one area, the inventory may be a month or less. In another area, it may be 3.5 or 4 months. Well, as we look into the details of the areas, the type of homes we're looking at, we get to kind of spread our wings a little bit, help them focus in on where are the prices on homes really going up fast and where are they kind of leveled off and not going up as quickly. And this allows them to maximize their buying power. And then they can talk to Tony if they need a loan or pay cash, whatever it is they're doing. But it's a lot of attention to detail and understanding what their goals are. It's a beautiful, I've always loved the Gulf Coast, no matter where I was at in Florida, from the Panhandle down to here. I'm covering Sarasota County. There's a lot of beautiful homes and new homes being built and existing homes in Venice, up through Sarasota, Bradenton, Parrish, Lakewood Ranch. It's just, it's a beautiful place to live. And if people want to come down and spend a couple of weeks, then I enjoy getting to know people. It's a lot about relationship and working with them as a team. So I'd be more glad to spend some time, give them some things. They make sure they go look at certain things based upon their criteria, their desires and wants, and even spend some time with them to show them around a little bit and help them get more acquainted with the area. So it is about customer service, Jeff, and helping people achieve what they want.
Yeah, I call them concierge services.
Yes.
And so I know you and Howard, not to have you compete here on the screen, but both different areas of Florida, different vibes. Generally speaking, East Coast, you get a lot of people coming from, say, the Northeast, the West Coast, Midwest come down there, but it's a different vibe. That's the way I see it as. If if people coming down to the east, to the West Coast, I mean, other than spectacular sunsets over the Gulf, I mean, what is it about the West Coast that is attractive to those that move down there, relocate?
Um, it kind of goes into the communities. If you look at Sarasota as a community, it's very geared around the arts and entertainment. So people who are coming from New York and they're used to plays and musicals and things of that nature, you have a lot of the arts here. They just announced a couple of weeks ago that they're going to build a new massive arts and entertainment center in Sarasota that will allow them to have a lot of different musical shows, Broadway shows, and it's very much like that. Sarasota also has a very large arts area. So people who like arts itself, they're attracted to that Sarasota area. Bradenton is a very family oriented and always has been a very family oriented community. And Parrish is a family oriented area that's got a little bit of a country feel to it. There's a lot of horses, there's cattle farms. I live in a beautiful community, but I go out of my community and turn right, and I'm immediately seeing cattle ranches and horses and working ranches. But I can also drive 20 minutes and be on Anna Maria Island and sitting on the beach. And I think that's the versatility that we offer on the West Coast is quite excessive because it lines up to a lot of different lifestyles.
Great. Thank you, Jay. Now we're going to bring you to the money man, Tony Lamas, America's mortgage lender. Hi,
everybody.
Tony. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's so happy to be part of the group. I do hear there's some noise interference here. Is somebody?
Somebody could mute yourself if you have noise in the background.
There it is.
Okay.
All right. Much better. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Tony Lamas with America's Mortgage Lenders here in Sarasota, Florida. We also have a company up in Whippany, New Jersey, up in North Jersey. So we're very familiar with both of the transactions and how they work out. What I find to see here is I'm also new in the area. I'm a transient myself, coming out of New Jersey. I still own my house in New Jersey, so I know what it costs to heat the house up in New Jersey while I'm here full time. So I'm very familiar with both sides of the operations. We also, I'm familiar with licensing in New York. As far as how to get loans, I know New York requires 2 attorneys to facilitate their deals. The thing that I've seen when I came here, not by choice, but to say that we were going to come out here and open up a mortgage company, it was like night and day. I couldn't understand the two mechanics of how Florida does things and how New York and New Jersey does things. So it took a while to get used to, but once we got to understand it, the things that I really identified was, the real estate agent in Florida, this is a title state. So it does not require, an attorney, unlike New York, where you have to hire your own attorney and where you have to pay for the bank's attorney as well. So in New Jersey, most of the transactions are done facilitated by attorney, but here, a lot of the addendums that are made or any changes to the contract are generally your representation as your real estate agent. And so it's so important to have that because I've seen a lot of things that just change and where they needed to and not knowing. So that's so important to understand that. But as far as the lending part of it, I just want to share what I've experienced with living in the West Coast, Florida. I'm a big fan of Sarasota. This is an area just outside of Sarasota's Lakewood Ranch. It's about a 40 square mile of open new development. And they've established it about 20 years ago. And since then, you're talking about 20 to 30,000 people that just appeared within a short amount of time. So everybody's friendly, everybody's waving. But what I like about it so much is it's so close to Tampa. You're 45 minutes away from Tampa, which has the championships. I think we have Tampa Bay there with Brady, and we have the Tampa Bay Rays. They won the National League American League title.
Thanks for reminding us, Tony.
Yeah, and also with ice hockey. I mean, how could you not want to be in this area? But what's also interesting about it, I had young kids at the time when I moved in. Now they're going off to college, and you know, I have a 4-year plan, and in some of the universities, which were so much more affordable. So I really have a big fan of that. And also, we're an hour and 45 minutes from Disney World. So we're centrally located in the area to where we're probably about 2 hours and 15 minutes from Miami, about 2.5 hours from the East Coast. So it's centrally located. And what's amazing about this area is the water is blue all the time. If there's 3 feet of waves in the ocean, boats don't go out. That's how amazing it is. But that's just my take on that. And I have the luxury to have to go back and forth. So I see the difference. And I haven't been there in about 10 months, but I'm going back next week. But anyhow, some of the programs that we run as a lender, we are a direct lender. And we lend with our own money. We have underwriters on staff in our main office in Whippany, New Jersey, which funnels all the deals. And it's just, we're not brokering it out. It's handled by us. But what we specialize in are seniors. When we do loans for seniors, you know, a lot of people will come down and buy homes in a second homes first before they come down here. And when they do that, it requires a minimum down payment of 10%. So 10% would get you into a second home here in Florida as a second home. The other options are, how do we qualify for some loans? The majority of the people that are retiring, we have a program that Fannie and Freddie adhere to. As long as you're 59 and a half or older, we can use your funds to qualify for a loan and what's called income dissipation. So in other words, we write down the number of what we need to operate and what you need as a living expense to qualify your loan in a comfortable ratio, what qualifies for Fannie and Freddie. And we use that income as income dissipation to qualify for loans in talking with the financial advisor. That's also another option there. If you were to buy an owner-occupied home on single-family dwellings, you can go FHA as little as 3.5% down, but that's not typically the case. That's usually for first-time home buyers, but we can also do that. So you have 75 that rides up and down the West Coast, and that goes all the way up into Chicago, into Canada. So anything east, I have to get used to this because I'm usually doing the opposite, but anything east of the highway is basically where Lakewood Ranch is, where all the new development is growing. It's the number 3 growth and development in the country as far as a planned urban development. And everything is new and beautiful. It's just amazing when I have to drive through these new streets as they still create them as they come. But because of that, there's a massive amount of people that are moving down in this area. And it's just a desirable, what we like about it is it's about 10 miles from the best beach in the world, which is Siesta Key. And you feel like it's just an amazing place to see both of those worlds. Now, as far as in Florida, there is a transaction called a stamp. This is the tax that they charge. Unlike New York, you'll have your state tax or that you'll pay to do the transaction, but there's what's called a deed and mortgage note transfer tax. Every time you either refinance or purchase a house, this tax will be applied, which is typically about 0.45% of the sale price. So just to give you an idea, so it's really not that bad considering that we don't have any payroll income tax. So it really, really helps. So I'm open for any questions. If you have, Jeff or anybody on the panel, I'm happy to ask if you have any questions.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Tony at this point? Or maybe we can hold towards the end. But I do know between Jay and Howard, the realtors, and yourself, Tony, you go over monthly expenses for the person who's looking to relocate, because they need to know everything that goes into the mortgage, the cost, because they're all too aware of the costs up here, and they're looking to downsize their monthly costs. And someone who's very important to bring in to discuss costs is our next speaker, and that's Mark Kowalski, who is homeowners insurance. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for the opportunity. I'm grateful for this to speak with you and everyone else through the podcast. Mark Walsky, been involved in the insurance space for about 12, 15 years now down in Florida. My job is to listen to you all, help your people move, find it, buy it, and now I look at it as biasly, but most importantly, we have to insure it. Because of the fact that if you have a mortgage or other things like that, you're going to have to insure it. But ultimately, I just kind of want to highlight a bit more about Jane, what Tony was saying about Sarasota and Manatee County, Lakewood Ranch is we've got Siesta Key. I think that's one gem that highlights our area. It's always top rated, 1, 2, 3 in the world. And from there, I just don't feel we're as congested yet as a location. We still have some open space. We've got plenty of parks, outdoors. I myself, married, raised in a family, have got kids at the school system. The school systems are very engaged. You have the public, you got the private. Florida is pro on charter. So with all of this, it's a very family-friendly oriented location to live, as well as our downtown's thriving. And speaking from y'all with the realtors and the bankers, it's condos right now. We've got towers just coming up and many more slated. In fact, we're over, between the next 15 years, we'll have about 25,000 new homes in Sarasota and Manatee County.
Wow.
It's just thriving. We're doing well. The economy's doing well. So I think that's why people are coming down. I originally come from the Midwest, lived on the East Coast. So I get to see and talk with people from both regions. And it is just hot right now, as everybody knows. So the housing market, as you know, is great. Our insurance market, not so great. We're having a little bit of hiccups right now. But at the end of the day, my role as an agent is to communicate, educate, and ultimately advocate for our clients. They're coming in from an area where insurance rates and insurance premiums were X. When they come down to Florida, it's Y, if not Z. It's gotten to be more expensive because we are prone to hurricanes. Granted, we haven't had a direct hit over here in the Southwest coast in quite some time, many, many years. East Coast and South Florida typically is where the targets are at, or the Panhandle has been having some. But we're beyond now regional insurance carriers. We're talking global-based reinsurance, insurance for insurance. So what happens overseas, in Europe, or whatever it is, it's all a global space. And being that we are prone to these catastrophic events, we are seeing rates increasing. Carriers are pulling out as well. But I think and it's not to scare anybody. It's just, my point is, find an agent, whoever they like, pair up with the real estate guys, the bankers, but have your clients find somebody they know, like, and trust to walk them through the process. From our process, there's key things that homeowners have to have that are going to be foreign to someone that lives up north. The main way that you can have any type of premium savings within your homeowner's policy, you have to advise your clients to get a wind mitigation inspection. More times than not, it's done. Even if the existing buyer had one done previously more than 5 years or more, it has to be every 5 years now. It's a mandate by the companies and by the state. And all a wind mitigation report is, it's an inspector that come and look at the way the house is going to mitigate damage through a windstorm. Roofs, number one priority right there. The common thread is, if you have a tile, concrete roof, 20 years and you're good. Used to be 30, but they brought it down to 20. Shingle, they're now bringing that down to 10 years. That's just the exterior of the roof. Then they get up into the attic and they're going to see how it's attached to the roof, and how, if it's strapped or if it's being used now. So it's a pretty in-depth and robust inspection. At the end of the day, it's only $100. So for something like that, that's where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. The biggest example I can use, and from y'all being up in New York, and no offense to New York insurance agents, but they just don't typically know to ask for these wind mits and the 4 points and things of that nature. So the example is, high net worth individual bought a house 10 years ago out on the water. She was paying $100,000 a year just for her homeowner's insurance. The New York agent over the course of 10 years never asked her for a wind mitigation. So when we got involved through that referral and recommendation to move forward, we had her go spend $100 on the wind mit. She saved $18,000 a year. So the course of 10 years, she spent $180,000 in additional insurance premium all over a $100 inspection report. That is few and far between, but that is something that's very, very important as to why these wind mits are important. Case in hand, you have your typical 3-2, maybe 3-3 house. Let's just say it's valued at $700,000. If your insurance, just throwing numbers out, don't hold it against me, but maybe let's just say it's $5,000 a year. You get the wind mitigation and it checks out fine. You'll probably drop down to $2,200 a year. So again, there is true savings there to get this wind mitigation. Other ways to control your homeowner's insurance is deductibles. You have your hurricane deductible, which is one. Those are typically along the coastline. We could see 2 to 3% of the value of the house. You move inland towards Orlando, Hernando, and any of the other counties, you might see 1% in terms of wind deductible. So you can increase those if you want to bear risk. You can increase the other, what we call all other perils, fire, lightning, etc., like those. And then 4 points. If people are going to be looking at houses that are 20 years or older, it is important to request a 4-point inspection. Simply put, that's another $100 inspection. They'll usually pair that with a wind mitigation. And again, the 4-point, just make sure the roof is structurally there. Make sure the electrical is updated. They're going to look at the electrical panel. They're going to look at the plumbing, particular water heaters these days. They want to see them 10 years or less, and then along with the air conditioning machines as well. So the concern is some houses built 20 years or prior have cast iron pipes, where nowadays they've moved all to PVC pipe. So if you have cast iron or the house is over 20 years, you might have to get that replumbed to PVC, another way to reduce your costs. And then ultimately, what you buy that house for at the market price has absolutely no bearing to what we see in terms of what it costs to rebuild should you have a claim. We're always going to be worried about what it is to replace, not concerned about market, nor the tax value of the house as well. So that's something we have to commonly remind people, that you might have bought a house for $1 million, but to rebuild that house, it might only be $700,000. So some of the other things, the real one thing too that probably is prevalent up there because of Hurricane Sandy about 8 years ago, we're going through flood remapping. So the federal government is going through and remapping all these flood zones throughout the state in Florida, and we're seeing it can work advantageously or it can be disadvantageous in the fact that the closer you are to the water, including the rivers, if you're in an A zone or a V zone is I would say worse, you're right on the water. If you carry a mortgage, you have to have insurance. And with that, the flood limits that the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, will provide are $250,000 on the house, $100,000 on the contents. You could buy excess flood if you want to, but you have to at least have the minimum when you carry a mortgage in a V or an A zone. The other thing too that I think is a really big important piece for the realtors that maybe don't know much about the Florida marketplace or people coming into the marketplace, if that current buyer, if the current seller rather, my apologies, if the current seller has a flood policy in place, and when they purchase that flood policy, let's say they were in an X zone, they now want to sell years later through flood remapping, they may be re-rated into an A or a V zone, which would then make it mandated to have the flood insurance carrying a mortgage. The buyer can what we call assume that seller's flood policy, only if it's going to be their primary property. So another case in point, another home buyer that we insure along the water, she's buying a house on the bay. We worked with her buyer, we worked with their real estate agent to get the existing insurance policies in place to see if we can assume that flood policy. It turns out the seller rather, I'm sorry, they're bare. They don't carry any insurance whatsoever. So if they would have bought that flood policy back in 2007 when they bought the house when it was new, they would have been in an A zone at that point, probably paid $3,000 in insurance for flood only. We could have assumed that $3,000 policy because our buyer now took a small mortgage out for this. She's paying $22,000 a year for flood insurance for $250,000 limits. So always I recommend get to the insurance policies as the buyer's agent, because if you have existing policies, particularly that flood, you can assume that, provided again it's a primary house. Those are the ways that I think I just want to make sure that we talk day in and day out with people and our clients and prospective clients and people coming to the area. Those are the things to look out for in terms of Florida insurance. Beyond that, we can get into differences in terms of coverage on the dwelling, the other structures, the personal property. Another big question comes up, what about my pool cage? If the pool cage is attached, with more times than not it is, that's going to be your dwelling, your house value. So at that point, you then have to think about what your hurricane deductible is should that get damaged, because those pool cages can cost 10 to 30, and obviously more than $30,000 if you do really big pool cages. But I think just really highlighting the important things of what we communicate, educate, advocate about here: wind mitigation inspections, 4-point inspections, deductibles, hurricane deductibles, replacement costs versus actual cash value, the roofs, and then again, the flood. The flood is so important because it is ever so changing these days because of the remapping that the government's doing. So I think that kind of highlights it, and in closing, again, beautiful area over here on the West Coast, been here 17 years and never disregarded it in the past before. Absolutely love it out here. So either now or at some point towards the end or in the future, I'm always available for any questions that I can help out on.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. A lot of information to unpack there. I know to start with the realtor who brings in the experts, mortgage, homeowners, and they talk about monthly expenses. So this way you're going in knowing what is involved, and that's doing your due diligence as a homeowner. Now we want to go to our residents who made the successful move. First one, ladies first, Mike, and that's Jill, who's on the East Coast in Boynton Beach. Jill, welcome to the show.
So I lost you for a moment. I want to get it back. Okay, there we are. Well, coming towards the end, so many different areas have been discussed. So what I'm going to touch on, I've made some notes, things that I haven't heard discussed. So it's a potpourri of different thoughts that I've had about different things. I've been a Florida resident since I've been born, but not full-time and off and on. My grandmother had a house in South Beach, and I lived there from 1945 on, off and on. We had a house at the Breakers West, which was a community from the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach. We had that for 4 years. Then we didn't come down to Florida. And then we returned again 5 years ago. And I want to mention that we downsized from a very large house near Manhasset, Long Island, and we downsized to an attached villa. And we were very unhappy there. And within 2 years, we moved, and now we're in a large house in Boynton Beach. Our community here has 5 different divisions in price. We're in the estates division, and there are some homes that are very, very small here. And they almost look like garages. And then we have a very big house. And when we bought our house a few years ago, 3 years, the price we paid then 3 years ago, people are paying now for the little houses. So that, as mentioned, there's been a tremendous jump in the prices. Now here in my community, we're having a lot of movement because the original owners are in their 80s, 90s, and we're having, unfortunately, a lot of deaths. And when the homes go up for sale, the family flocks down, gets it ready immediately. House next door to mine, somebody died 10 days ago. The house is already on the market today. And there's a flood of people looking at it. I'm sure it'll be sold by tomorrow. That's what's happening here in my community. They're selling within 2 days. And there are no discounts on these resales. People just want to get into the communities. And one of the things that we were unhappy with in the first place that we moved in, and people need to be aware of it, there were only 300 units. So we didn't have a lot of social life. We didn't have a lot of shows. There wasn't the money of the community to support all the social activities, which was one reason that we moved. So that's important to consider for people to really understand when you're taking them to a community, to go look in the clubhouse and look on the announcement boards if the people are coming down here to look and see what activities are present. Some communities have a cafe, a little restaurant, we have that. And there were communities that didn't, and we didn't want to look at those communities. There were times we really wanted to have that camaraderie and have lunch right here, or you order lunch or dinner and you bring it back to the house. And there are a lot of issues that need to be taken into consideration with the monthly and yearly expenses. And those are the rising HOA assessment costs. We moved down here, and within a few months, they decided they wanted to do all the roads again, all the grass again. The clubhouse roof, we were assessed like $4,000. Now, that wasn't a problem for us, but being an HOA, even though we had one of the larger, more expensive homes, the people with the smaller homes had to share the expense of it because it was community roads, community clubhouse. So that's something that people must be aware of, that if they're on a very limited fixed budget, things can escalate. Excuse me. Just give me a minute here. Another concern in the lifestyle is with the seniors, I don't know what's going on here.
Allergies.
I don't know. The main topic of conversation down here is doctors. What operation are you having next week? What doctor are you seeing?
Yeah.
Can you get health insurance? So these are all things that people have to understand when they come down here. It's not all playhouses and beaches and golf. There are a lot of those issues too.
Yeah.
Getting yourself settled in with the right health insurance, because you can't take your New York health insurance and bring it down here. You have to set up immediately.
That's very true. Good insights, Jill. Jill, let me ask you something. I visited your house near Manhasset, and yes, it was a big house, and I know you're paying a ton of taxes. What was the overriding deciding factor for you just to, pack your bags and go?
Oh, it wasn't money. Everybody we knew had left Long Island, except you, Jeff, but you've come down to visit.
Well, I'm holding the fort, it's like.
You're a little younger. Nobody was left. My husband was retired. The neighborhood around Manhasset and East Williston, Albertson had changed dramatically and wasn't what it was. And we didn't have children in the schools anymore. Our children didn't live there. Many of our friends who have children in Connecticut and New York and New Jersey maintain another home because they want to go back. So they're snowbirds. We're down here permanently. We have no ties.
Okay.
Very quiet.
Okay, Jill, I want to get to Michael, but thanks for sharing your real insights there as a homeowner. And Mike, for all full disclosure, is my brother-in-law, but is also a snowbird, and he's also a retired accountant, so he knows dollars and cents. He knows expenses, and so Mike, welcome to the show.
Hello, Jeff. So we purchased a condo 12 years ago. We did it actually a speculation, sight unseen, bought it online, but we turned out to be a pretty nice community anyway. We had been to the community before, and we had visited friends in Cape Coral. There are a lot of condos, but I'm not in the real estate industry, but it seems like a lot of the development now is redeveloping all the waterfront areas. The prime properties were purchased back in the 60s and 70s. They put up a 3-bedroom ranch house. That probably cost them $12,000. Today, they're buying these 50-year-old homes for $500,000, knocking them down, putting up beautiful homes. Well, certainly well over $1 million. I'm not pricing them. So the market, you have a lot of these high-end homes going in. There's a lot of open space in Cape Coral where they haven't built any homes. It's still, the lot was created when they built the town 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and it's never been built on. And yet the prime spaces along the waterfront, they're selling like crazy. People are coming from all over. We have a lot of Europeans coming, but typically though, we'll have couples from the Midwest, the Chicago, Ohio, Pennsylvania type of thing, Michigan, a lot of Michigan, Wisconsin. And they buy these old homes, completely knock them down, put up beautiful homes.
Now, you were telling me an expense that people may not be aware of. I mean, up here it's heat and some air conditioning in the summertime, but not as much as Florida, say, with the heat is excessive. And I know you have to have your air conditioning on quite a bit because the humidity factor and, getting mold and whatnot. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, with the, if most people will run their air conditioner all summer long, even if they're not there, especially if they're not there. If you do wind up with a mold issue, people with allergies, the house will just be unfit for you completely. So you're going to run them. The temperature is from, say, today clear till the end of October. It's going to be at least 90 degrees every day. And the air conditioning, I spend more in electric when I'm not there than I do as a resident. We're paying $50 a month because you're not using the air conditioning in January and February, March. But in the summertime, it basically never shuts off. It runs literally 24 hours a day. It's the electric rates are better than New York, but you'll see your expenses going up.
Yeah. I know when I went down there to visit you with my wife, it was great being on your boat, going on the bay, and a lot of people fishing, and seeing dolphins, and stopping by a canal, a restaurant right on the canal. I mean, that was so nice. I mean, for us, that was a real pleasure. So there's a lot of things that bring people down to South Florida, whether it's East Coast or West Coast. It's personal preference. But again, doing your due diligence with your realtor, finding out the monthly expenses, all right, right from what it's going to cost you, HOA fees, what you get for that. Are there any assessments current or coming on the way? Things like that. Travel the area, stay in an area. If you have to stay in an area for a month short-term rental or a 3-week vacation, check out the areas, see what fits with you. See where you kind of feel that you could live there, knowing your expenses, and then going on from there. These communities, it's not all about table shuffleboard or shuffleboard anymore. It's pickleball. That's a big sport now, and other events and activities in these adult communities, non-adult communities. I know they're building these big condos in Fort Lauderdale still, right on Los Olas there. I think the residences.
Correct.
And really very, very nice condos. Again, this single family homes are hard to get. You have a lot of competition with other buyers, and the bidding wars can be pretty terrific or horrible. But it's a great place to live. People do it because of cost. People do it to be near to family. People do it because of a better quality of life, of living. And, you know, again, there are different parts of Florida that may bring different types of interest to others, whether it's the Northeast corridor, the Panhandle, inland like Orlando. There's a lot of places in Florida, and you know, I got to tell you, Florida, you know, you got to thank us New Yorkers for making you guys work so hard. You know, I mean, I'm not getting paid from you guys. You know, I should get some kind of a referral fee. You know, every time they pass over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge to go down there. You know, so. But
we can thank your governor for that.
Yeah, well, I'm not going there. But in any case, if anybody has anything to say it now. I'll also put up the screenshot that I wanted to share with everyone. And let's see here. And there we go. All right. That's what I wanted to share. This is my podcast. It's called Downsizing and Relocation for Boomers and Seniors. Today was about downsizing and relocation to South Florida. You can find this podcast, by the way, on my YouTube channel, Jeffrey Stone. You could also find it on my SoundCloud account, Jeffrey Stone. You could find it on Douglas Elliman's iTunes platform. Downsizing and Relocation for Boomers and Seniors. And you get to see my face up there, with SRES underneath it, and you get to see past shows. But all of our speakers are right here. And, you know, feel free to contact any one of these individuals. If you want to talk to one of the residents, you know, give me a shout out, email, and I'll talk with the resident and see if they'd like to engage with you. But again, talk to any one of these experts, these professionals. It's well worth your while. Again, it's doing your due diligence. You want to go in without the blindfold, you know, without palm trees waving around in your head. You want to see everything, the cost. So when you go down there, you know, nothing catches you by surprise. So at this point, does anybody have anything to add?
Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for having this panel. The last, I guess, comment that I would have, just to recap everybody's information and insights to what's happening in Florida, is for any senior up east, come on down to Florida, tip your toe in the water, tip your toe in the pool, in the ocean. Florida has something for anybody. So well, please come on down, use all our services, and you'll be in great hands. Just to let you know, my wife and I already booked some time down in Palm Beach next year, early next year, January, and we can't wait. It's Oceanside condo rental. So we get to see more of what the East Coast has to offer. And no doubt, every time we go down there, we have to visit Michael on the West Coast, and Jill, by the way. Yeah, I saw a number of people when I went down from St. Augustine all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. Friends of mine that have made the move, past manager of mine in New Smyrna Beach, and someone else up north in St. Augustine. And I got to tell you, you know, I have a lot of friends, neighbors that have made the transition, and they're loving life down there. What's not to like? You know, it's Florida living. Long Island has a lot to offer. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to beat up on Long Island. I've been here my whole life, but I got to tell you, it's nice going somewhere. And if you can afford to have a second home as a, you know, second property, do so. A lot of times people will just sell their home up here when it's time and just fully transition down wherever it is. And I hope to do more of these shows on different areas of Florida, the Carolinas, Virginia, and so on and so on. I have met a lot of brokers and realtors over the years, whether at trade shows or online, and I want to keep this going. To me, this is a great way for folks to get a little better insight as to what's going on here. So this is what I wanted to do. This is helping folks. All right. So I want to thank everybody for being on board here. You brought a lot of good information,
I thank you so much. And all I can say is have a great time, stay safe, stay healthy, all right? I would imagine everybody here, except for the young guys like Tony and Mark, maybe have had both of our COVID shots. So
I'm good. I got mine too.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right, good.
Well, I actually had COVID, so I'm okay now.
Okay, you know,
the COVID shots, it's all opened up to 16 and older now in Florida.
Okay, when I come down there on the West Coast to visit you, Jay, you know, I want you to have a, you know, a nice little party for me, you know, and we'll all get together outside and have a good time.
Yeah, we got an outside kitchen. We'll cook on the grill and have a good time with the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'll be doing the same on the East Coast. You know, I mean, borrow Jill's golf cart and drive around town and create havoc.
You know, there's a lot of golf carts down here in Florida.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right,
just get some insurance for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Bye.